Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Excellency Esports broadcast. My name is Mac Dewey, and joining me on the analyst desk for tonight for some awesome mid-league League of Legends action is none other than Cam. Going into this week, we have some interesting kind of balance, patch updates. Certain things are banned in the league, like Dr. Mundo right now, as his new kind of champion update is just hitting the Rift. Do you want to go through some of the other kind of adjustments we're making to kind of uphold some competitive integrity here in the mid-league?
Yeah, so we have Gwen enabled right now. We have Viego enabled right now as well. But the surprising ban today and for this week and for an undetermined amount of time for right now is actually going to be the Hexsplash Summoner spell rune, whatever you want to call it is. As that it is currently causing a game-breaking bug where if you set ult someone while they're channeling Hexsplash, they are no longer able to use a single ability or spell for the rest of the game.
Oh, that's it?
This caused an hour-and-a-half long pause on LPL yesterday morning, and it indeed involved a remake for a Game 3, which did not go over very well. And we currently have Viego being first picked by Death Cards Academy.
Wow. A really cool pick that I've been kind of surprised, Cam, how much this pick has seen kind of attention on kind of an upper level, either going in the top lane. I saw a little bit of that going on, even in the mid, and I believe it can go jungle as well, right?
Yup, yeah, it can go in all three roles just like Gwen can, so I'm interested to see. Gwen has not been banned so far, so we could be seeing a Gwen lock-in on R2 right now, or if they let it through. Both of these champions could be going to death cards, and both of them are very, I want to say killer. They kill a lot, and very quickly.
Yeah,
I don't like them.
Absolutely. Would you say spooky?
I would. I would, as I'm pretty sure both of them can go invulnerable, as that's the meta of Season 10 and 11 meta champions.
Hey, absolutely. Riley pointing out in chat, and Cam, I think it's an awesome talking point. Looking at the CB Rush bans that they started out with. Last week on the broadcast, we saw Galaxy Meep possibly have his best series ever popping off against Divine Ascension Obsidian. There's that Gwen you were talking about, but 3 ADCs taken away from the Death Cards Academy ADC.
They did ban 3 of his ADCs. They banned his Vayne, you banned his Ezreal, you banned his Jhin. Usually, those aren't actually the champions that you're banning in this meta, though. Usually, it is that Tristana, that Jinx, and then, usually Jhin as well, so that is usually one of the meta ones. But, I mean, Vayne and Ezreal usually aren't very blind pickable anymore, especially in this meta.
I do want to point out here, Death Cards Academy, with their third blue pick, are giving Uwu Cthulhu his possibly favorite champion. He's, I believe, 6-1 based on last week's result. I think he was 5-1 before, and he picked up a win on stream. It was that Game 3 against Divine Ascension Obsidian, where I believe he got a triple kill to finish off the game. He's going to be going right back on the pike, going up against the #1 team in mid-league here.
Yeah, definitely. Last week, especially in that Game 3, we got to see him pop off on that pipe pick against a Nautilus. So in this game, he's not going to be going against a Nautilus. Nautilus wasn't even banned, but that was that early Braum blind pick. As Braum's a pretty safe champion. Usually only enchanters counter him, and I'm not sure if Ulu for Cthulhu is playing any enchanters, as we've mostly been seeing him play that pike. So you could safely assume that he was going to lock that pike in.
Exactly. Where do you think this Zac for CB Russia is going to end up, Cam? I feel like it's most likely in the jungle, but do you think Rutledge could possibly end up picking it up for the top lane?
I mean, there's a few particular Korean mid lane players that I've been seeing take Zac mid lane, but I'm not particularly expecting that to be happening for Frosty. I am most likely expecting this to be going in the jungle. So then the only other role that I would say would be support, but I mean, they already locked their Braum, and I'm really not expecting Braum to go anywhere other than for Nelson.
Exactly. We see now Death Cards Academy and CB Rush working through the second phase of bans here. Another ADC taken away from Galaxy Meep. He's not going to be getting his hands on the Tristana this match. And we actually saw Patrick pick up the Kale, I believe, in the mid lane last week against Divine Ascension Obsidian as well. Frosty, the mid laner for CB Rush, is going to have a pretty tough matchup, I think, on his hands, Cam. And so far, Death Cards have taken away a couple of his champions. His signature Talia's gone, the Lysandra, as well as the Zoe he popped off with last week, taken off of the board. I think we are going to get a signature Rutledge volley bear in the top lane for game number 1, though.
That should definitely be very exciting. And they did lock in that Volibear, and it could be going jungle, but then that would be forcing Zach to go mid. So like you're saying, I am probably expecting this to be a Volibear top lane, which kind of limits that potential flex pick that you have with it. And that's going to be a Kai'Sa lock. And I'm not too sure how Kai'Sa's going to be doing in this game. I was actually looking forward to potentially seeing an Ashe lock in here, as Ashe into Kalista kind of makes Kalista not a champion. But we get a Kai'Sa.
We do have a Kai'Sa. Riley, the way you're talking in chat, is Beastlands actually is Beastlands subbing in here for CB Rush? That seems like a combination of the best of both worlds. Is that even allowed for Beastlands to be paired up with Rutledge in the gang? He is, in fact. And that's why we see a Kai'Sa, Cam.
Okay.
Last season, Beastlands Kalista put the league on absolute notice. One of his favorite champions. He has like literally thousands on the champion. So if anyone's going to pull off this pick right now, it's going to be Beastlands. And I'm honestly really excited to see how busted this CB Rush lineup is going to be, because this is like the all-pro mid-league Season 2 lineup coming in against Death Cards Academy, who wasn't even here for any of it. Might be in for a huge awakening, but they got the 200 years of experience on this side. With the compositions round out, we did see Sejuani and Lux locked in. Cam, what are your thoughts on this draft? Who do you think came out with a little bit of an edge?
Well, if I'm going with who picked more Season 11 champions, then I'm gonna have to go with Death Cards Academy here. As Viego and Gwen are just so high priority in competitive play right now. That's just, if you get one of them, usually you win. If you get both of them, I mean, they're these champions on their own can 1v9 a game, and they're both very unstoppable. So unless they have enough CC to lock them down, which locking down a Viego and a Gwen is not easy at all, by the way, then these champions can absolutely go ham in this game. But with the Lux pick on R5, I actually really like that. That is some almost basically point-and-click CC, especially for these melee champions, which could be very useful to get a Viego off of you, but for a Gwen, yeah, not so much.
And speaking of all those melee champions, I feel like that slides right in for the Sejuani pick for Sterling Jones in the jungle. Last week, Death Cards Academy had him on 2 games of Diana, and Cam, he was making quick work of the Divine Ascension Obsidian health bars. This time he's going to be on something a little more tanky, a little more supporty. How are you thinking it's going to play into the CB Rush composition? I'm interested to see if he's going to be able to get any early ganks off.
Yeah, last week he did play those very early aggressive junglers with the Diana and then the Xin Zhao in game 3, which he actually said Xin Zhao was one of the champions. And we didn't see a Xin Zhao ban in this game 1, but he's on the Sejuani pick here, which is definitely not what he was playing last week. So he could be looking for some early ganks, but usually Sejuani is one of those farm to level 6 junglers, is you do need that ultimate available to find that early pick and hopefully find a kill for one of your Season 11 champions.
Exactly. And taking, if you don't mind, Cam, a little stroll down to this bot lane matchup. We've got Kai'Sa Pyke, some serious comfort for Galaxy Meep and Cthulhu, going up against Beastlance and Nelson. Potential duo I don't think is actually ever paired up here, but quite some historic figures. These guys are used to the competitive league scene. Nelson has been paired up with Rutledge Frosty in the past. He wasn't here on Meme City Esports' run last season. But hey, he's been working out pretty well as CB Rush sitting at the top of the standings. Looking a little more specifically at the matchup, the Kaisa Pike going up against Callista Braum. I wonder how they're going to be able to manage this early game, because it seems like we might get a whole lot of action down there.
Yeah, definitely. As if Pike does land that hook onto Callista, she doesn't really have an easy way to get out. Braum can peel her pretty well, but once Braum is as low as Callista's, they don't really have an easy way to run away. As once you really CC or even slow Callista, then she's just a sitting duck. But as you're saying, if this is as much of a comfort pick as he's going to be able to make it, then Callista can absolutely pop off. As I believe the last time I was able to cast the Callista, she did go 20-0. So,
oh wow!
I don't doubt this champion at all. I really don't.
And leave it up to Beastlands to come up with that kind of performance. Do you want to take one more quick look at a matchup we have going on the Rift before we send it over to our lovely casters? We've got this Gwen going up against the Volibear. Feel like season 11 versus season 10 meta a bit, Cam. Do you think the Gwen's got enough going for her to really pop off here? Keep in mind, we're going up against Rutledge here on the Gwen.
Yeah, we really are. I'm not too thrilled about a Gwen into Volibear matchup, as usually you would pick a Volibear just to kind of not die and maybe go for tower dives with your jungler. But going for tower dives on a Gwen is... You're not gonna ever CC her, right? You're just not. So you could try to poke her out, but poking her out as a Volibear is usually not what you're aiming for on that champion. So maybe he could be looking to play for that Volibear more for his team later on than in that specific laning against that Gwen.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we have a very spicy matchup for you all. Game number 1 of this Block 3 show match. Week 6 action for the mid-league. The number 2 seed, Death Cards Academy, gonna try to pick up a lucky draw here against CB Rush, the number 1 seed. Are the New Age Death Cards gonna be able to take down the Vets here in the mid-league? They're 14-1 so far, only dropping a game week number 1 against Bucky's. We'll have to see if Death Cards are going to be able to top them here in the matchup. Necrox and Icarus, a very spicy duo for you all, are waiting on the Rift. Don't click out of that browser. Game number 1's going to be coming to you in just a bit.
Welcome back, everyone, here, and we are geared up and ready to go for game number 1 here in Excellency's Mid-League. I am Necrox, joined by Icarus, and man, is this an exciting matchup. Number 1 versus number 2, the top of the table, duking it out to see who is the true king of this league. CB Rush take on Death Cards Academy.
30 seconds until minions spawn.
Double rainbow? What does it mean?
Oh. What a play. First blood already, and we're off to a banger of a start. Beastlance, the sub on 80 carry, can't get away, and first blood to Cthulhu. I had question marks about the pike pick and draft to it. Man, it's paying off already, and we're not even on our first camps yet, Icarus. So not able to recall is Cthulhu. He won't be able to get that extra bit of itemization advantage in, but Beastlance with no sums, that means Callista is wide open and prime opportunity for a gank if Sterling Archer wants to try to make a play bot side. For now, he will be heading towards this top side angle, but no worries for now, as both these teams, man, they already want to get at it. We saw action in mid, first blood in bot, and it just sets up the story so well for these two teams who want to prove themselves as the top of mid league.
And it's so important that these teams get started off early because it's going to make the big difference in mentality heading into this first series. I think I was muted for that first fight there. I apologize to the stream. However, moving forward from here, what's important to keep in mind is that now that Callista is starting to fall behind, it's not that big of a deal because there hasn't been any purchases made yet from Galaki and from Cthulhu. So now we need to wait and see, are we going to be able to see a level 2 or level 3 advantage being made by the bottom lane of Nelson and Beastlance, because that's really where this Braum and Callista are going to be at their strongest, is taking an advantage right now when they still have the level, when they have equal levels and equal items before there's time for Cthulhu and Galaki to spend the gold they made off of that level 1 trade.
And importantly, Galaki is going to need lots of gold this game. There's so many frontliners to go through, but Fugnuggler's in trouble. And look at that. Rutledge solo kills the Gwen. The champion might be brand spanking new, but Rutledge, man, that Bully Bear is rock solid.
Yeah, and we got to give props to Rutledge there. Neither of us were really prepared for that pickup because it just happened so dang fast here. Hook isn't going to mean a whole lot in the bottom lane, but that topside trade put in so much work here from Rutledge. He's shown that he's quite strong on this volley bear as well, having a KDA coming into the series of 5.2, a positive KDA for sure. And we can see here why he's so good at it. I do like to see that he started with this Doron's ring in particular, because you get a lot of surprise damage when it comes down to that Thunder Strike that he pulls out. Whenever he drops the E, nobody's really quite prepared for the AP scaling that it has and how much trade potential he has with it, levels 1 through 3.
It's so much damage early on, and Fugnuggler brought the Ignite to the lane. There's no flash, so there's no easy way out for this Gwen. You have to use that field so well, but instead, Smite's going to come through in the top side. Coach Pizza might be in a little bit of danger. Fugnuggler does so much damage, even though he said early behind, but here comes the top lane, and Fugnuggler is in too much trouble now, trying to dash away, but here comes the rest of the squad, and it's the rest of this blue team showing up. Patrick Jones making the kill, and they get one right back onto Rutledge. Just as we were singing his praise, he falls down.
And a bit faster on the rotation there coming in from Death Cards Academy. Excellent job from them to get Patrick Jones out of that lane. He had the shove. Now he gets to come back, catch this wave. Are they going to try and engage again, though?
Frosty flashing away. Nice route onto the turret. Patrick takes a little too much damage to that turret than maybe he'd want to. Will be just fine to disengage. But still, that kill on top side. Back into Rutledge will force his TP. Fugnuggler has his in hand if he does want to come back into this lane, and he will. So both top laners investing TPs. Mid laners investing their flashes. Bot laners still paying the price that early game skirmish. So everyone here is prime opportunity, and Fugnuggler is the next target. Coach Pizza hanging around, waiting in the wings. But will channel his recall instead.
There's a great opportunity here for Coach Pizza to go for a regank, especially considering that flashless Gwen in the top lane that we've talked about so far here, but he's not going to go for it. Instead, takes the back timer, will complete that Bomby Cinder, so his clear is going to start picking up in speed here. I also do want to point out that Coach Pizza is one smite ahead of his opponent in Sterling Archer here, so working towards that upgraded 900 true damage smite, but with this reset, with this recall, it does open up an opportunity for Death Cards Academy to sneak away this dragon. Coach Pizza hovering around that top side of the map just a little too long here. So first Drake and an Infernal Soul, or an Infernal Drake, going to be going over to the side of Death Cards Academy.
And Death Cards Academy looking at the #1 seed here and saying, we do not care about your history in mid-league. We do not care how good your early games have been. We don't care how much you index in the early game as well with this Callista from Beastlance. They just want themselves a dominating start, and they have got exactly that. The sizable gold lead this early on, and that first objective. Everything is coming up swimming for this team. And with two newer champions here in mid league, the first time I have gotten a chance to see the likes of Gwen and Viego played in Excellency, it is interesting to see how this is playing out. We expect Gwen to sort of do that extra bit of damage to Rutledge, but ends up getting solo killed. Sterling will meet Rutledge once again. The stun comes through. A skirmish over these top scuttle crabs can always become so deadly, but Frosty is the first mid laner to rotate, and Patrick's a little bit late to this one. There's the last bit of damage to come through, and Sterling is just sent away. Rutledge now having to flash, but here comes the chase. The stun doesn't land. Fugnuggler has an angle through this tribush if he wants, and Rutledge is dead to rights. Icarus, there's no way away. They will chase you down. These champions just have too much damn mobility. And DCA grab themselves more kills. Engage coming through, double binding on the way. Coach Pizza's joining the fray as Frosty's now running back to the turret. Ignite taking down. Patrick Jones looking for a little bit of extra damage, but the barrier will keep Frosty alive. Coach Pizza being snipped away. The dodge out. Fugnuggler takes too much damage to the back end of the turret, and Coach Pizza and CB Rush will claim one in return.
Oh, it's so close there for Death Cards Academy, but barely going down to that last turret shot. I swear 20 more health and he would have been able to live there. But hold on, Patrick Jones, you can't be up this far. You can't be this deep. There's nobody here to back you up. And just like that, Rutledge shut down gold. I would say donated over to the top laner there for CB Rush. 3-2-0 for Rutledge now on this Folly Bear versus the 0-2 Fugnuggler. He is feeling so strong here, and Rutledge has been coming into this series excited and prepared because he is one of the best top laners that we have in all of mid league here, and we can really see why. He's playing against this Gwen, this really busted new champion that everybody hates playing against, permabanned or picked really in pro play, and he's making it look real easy on this Folly Bear. Has 3 kills, is going even in CS constantly, is able to shove up this wave as well, and is now looking to go for some deep wards and going to get control around this Rift Herald as well. Fortunately, that Scuttle Crab will be secured by DCA, but it's not really going to mean that they have River Prio when Rutledge is just still so dang strong on the top side.
Now he's using that priority not only to get some extra vision, but he's just taking away camps now. He said, this is not your blue buff anymore, Sterling. Coach Pizza's here just to make sure he can secure it. And now Rutledge gets a blue buff for his own lane. You thought this was bad news bears for Fugnuggler. It just got a whole lot worse for this Gwen. He can spam abilities all he wants with basically no repercussions. And this is really bad news for this Gwen. One of the champions that we're not exactly sure what it can do when behind Fugnuggler, though, has not, I would say, impressed me so far on this champion. Patrick Jones doing as much as he can with this Viego. And Beastlance, meanwhile, the player we wanted to keep our eyes on in the bot side with this Kalista, this has actually been the quiet lane so far for CB Rush.
It has been fairly quiet so far, and honestly, I think that favors the side of Death Cards Academy because they want to be playing aggressively on the bottom side. If you are CB Rush here, you have this Kalista that needs to get ahead early. Hold on, Ultimate's at top side.
Just look at the damage, a tasty snack. You can snip away all you want. The slows will come through, and now Rutledge might be in a little bit of trouble. Not enough with the Stormbringer and the bite down from Rutledge, and Sterling's coming in. The stun doesn't connect, but I'm not sure it matters. The passive is proc, the stun is in, and goodbye. That teddy bear looks so fun to play with now. 1-for-1 there on the other side of the map. It's traded back onto Galaxy as he falls down to the 2v2. Finally, Beastlance and Nelson find themselves an advantage, and they grab a kill.
We finally see a couple of things going on around the board for both teams that we wanted to see. Top side, we see Rutledge getting shut down. He doesn't get to play super aggressive into Fugnuggler. It's very unfortunate, though, that that kill doesn't go over into this Gwen's hands here. Instead, it is going to be Sterling Archer that finds that kill for himself. An acceleration for the Sejuani jungle towards that tankiness, but it is not the same kind of pressure that you want to get out from the top lane. But more importantly, Beastlance finally finding a kill, and not only does he get the EXP, get the gold for that kill onto Galaxy, he also gets to shove in an entire wave and has the second one crashing as well. So he gets the perfect opportunity to reset here. Instead, actually, looks like they're both going to be rotating over towards this dragon. There's going to be a fight in the river.
Oh, Frosty face checks, has to immediately flash over the wall, but here comes the Heartbreaker. The bind is perfect, though, to keep Patrick away from this immobile carry. Look at the Void Seeker into the Killer Instinct combo. Beast Lance will fall, but here comes a teleport return play from CB Rush now. It's their time to shine, and this is not the member you want tanking the turret. Galaki is going to be down to half, has to heal immediately. Nelson trying to get in, but can't find it. Here comes a stretching strike from Coach Pizza to find the re-engage angle, but no one can lock down the members. The hook, the Bone Skewers in onto Coach. Still has a passive if he needs it. Lots of damage from the second skin from Galaki, but he has nothing left in the tank to follow up. Jungler low, which means that dragon attempt will be stifled, and this one should be going to DCA, excuse me, one more time, unless there's a re-engage.
There may be a potential re-engage here. Tensions are high. The dragon's dropping down extremely low. Will be secured. The re-engage.
Oh, Rutledge, where are you, my friend? You're not in the right spot. Lots of damage with the final spark over the top from Frosty, but here comes the jungler. Let's bounce, baby, but where are you at? You're in the middle of the team. Nuggler in the back end is going to be taken down from Beast Lance, who's now in the middle of the team 1v4, but the Callista just does not do enough. Hop, skip, and a dance all you want. It's a triple kill for Cthulhu, an ace for DCA, only 12 minutes in.
Get your uwus in chat because Cthulhu is popping off in that last team fight. 4-0-2 on this Pyke. At the end of the day, he gets the triple reset on that ultimate over here. The death from below absolutely popping off. And a lot of it came down to the fact that Rutledge died at the very start of that fight. When you have your Volibear who doesn't have access to the Stormbreaker yet, he's trying to go into this fight, trying to get access for his team into that Dragon Pit, but it just doesn't quite work out because Coach Pizza is too low to re-enter that Dragon Pit. And instead of just giving over the second Drake and saying, you know what, we come back for Drake 3, we leave this one and we come back stronger in the next fight, they try to force it there. And now you gave over not only the second Drake, which means you have 2 early dragons on DTA, but you're giving over 5 additional kills to the side of Death Cards Academy, and a lot of that is being double rewarded because of the passive from Death from Below. Suddenly there's now a 4,000 gold lead for Death Cards Academy, and in this team 1 or in the seed 1 versus seed 2 match off, seed 2 is looking so strong at the very start of this game.
Prowler's Claw in for this Pyke. Hook under the turret. Bone Skewer's doing a lot of damage, but look who does the real damage. Beast Lance just rips those skewers right out of Cthulhu's back and grabs that shutdown gold for himself.
And that's the kind of shutdown that Beast Lance needs to be getting here. We still have opportunity for Beast Lance to try and pop off. Is he going to be able to find this kill? It's looking close. He will be able to get that shutdown.
Ryan, he went in with a killer instinct. Thought there might be something there, but the Braum shield does too much. And stand behind me. You are fully protected. Now the dive in the top side. The Stormbringer to shut off the turret. And Bug Nuggler. This Gwen is getting full on abuse. Is it Cyberbully week or what? This Gwen is not allowed to play some League of Legends.
That's kind of what you have to do into these newer champions, though. Get them shut down early, and they have a really hard time scaling into these games, and that's kind of just the entire strategy. But it scares me that we can have this two-natured side of CB Rush here. They are able to make a lot of great silent plays. They can find a lot of these uneven fights, but when DCA is grouped together around that Dragon Pit, it is DCA that comes out with the team fight victory. I'm really concerned to see how these later stage team fights are going to be going, though, because a lot of the leads are on just 2 members here for CB Rush, and if Rutledge or Beastlance gets picked off in the early stages of the fight like we saw last time in the Dragon Pit, that could spell disaster for them in these further team fights, because there is a lot of dueling potential in groups.
Oh, it's so beautiful from Beastlands. It's Picasso on Summoner's Rift. The Rend with the minion stacked up perfectly lands into the slow. The Pierce to follow through. And that is a solo kill with every right to it from Beastlands, who gets Galaki again on the bot side, who is now relegated to 1-3. Man, oh man, this bot lane is now turned up. Beastlance has got 5-3. He's got a 300 gold bounty on his head and dropping that bot tier 1. Beastlance, the substitute for CB Rush, is putting on a show here tonight in game 1 of Excellency's mid lane. Only other thing that we got to worry about here for DCA is their itemization. Double Kraken Slayer and Patrick Jones indexing in this frontline damage. Normally for Viego, you get the shield bow build, you have a little bit more survivability, so you can get the resets later on into a fight. But he has gone for no safety, and now safety. Nelson needs to run away from this play. He will throw up the Unbreakable and be just fine as they skirmish and duke it out over river control. Meanwhile, topside, Fugnuggler trying to dance his way around from Rutledge. Stormbringer almost off cooldown. Flash available for this Volibear, and a flash bite down will get solo killed once again.
That was actually a really scary situation for Rutledge there. Look for a second that he might go down to the hands of this Fugnuggler with that Rift Maker. I think that this double itemization build coming in for the Kraken Slayers is actually necessary for the side of Patrick Jones and Galaxy, because look at just how much frontline there is available for the side of CB Rush. You got the Volibear, you have the Zac and the Braum available. 3 great engaged tanky frontline members, so you need to be able to burn through these members before you can get onto Beastlands, and especially before you can get onto Frosty. I'm kind of the silent member so far of the CB Rush squad that we haven't been able to talk about. Is just quietly farming up. He is a bit behind in this composition, but once the tough gets going, he's going to be sitting in that backline, slinging out spells, and once he's able to complete that mythic item, we can really start to see Frosty put in some work here. He's about the only member that hasn't completed the mythic item just quite yet in the or that's actually 3 members, but then we have a fight going off.
Oh, Cthulhu is one shot by Frosty from a life binding. Sterling Archer is in the pit, having a flash away. Doesn't have any way back in. The Q was already used. So Drake secured by CB Rush off a one shot from Frosty. The man doesn't even have an item.
Exactly, and that's what I'm saying here, is Frosty could sit in the back line, he could throw out those spells, and it's a Lux. At the end of the day, he's going to be able to blow up people if he finds that light binding, and we see exactly that happen there. Cthulhu goes down, he's not able to reset in this fight like we saw in the last Dragon fight.
What?
Now, they're just going to die with this turret.
What? Patrick, are you okay, my friend? Here comes the face call into the AD carry. For your mistakes, for your sins, your support will have to pay and repent all you want. That was not the move. And Patrick runs it down under his own turret.
And here we see the 1v1, the 2v1, the offset side potential that CB Rush has been establishing for themselves this entire game. With one quick pick made by Frosty, we suddenly see 4 kills, a dragon, and a turret all being picked up by CB Rush, and they have closed the gold lead down to a 2k difference, but this time in their favor here. They are doing such an excellent job of playing around this team composition with the stun and pick potential that they have from this Volibear, from the Zac, Lux, Braum, everyone on their team providing some kind of CC here. Topside, we may see a return kill.
Rutledge using the Stormbringer to get back under the turret. Fugnuggler indexing the LT, won't be able to find the kill. The Volibear is just too hard to take down at this point, so he will be just fine back farming up. And you were saying that the swung had happened for CB Rush, grabbing a few more kills at Drake, and man, oh man, is Beastlands leading the charge here along with Rutledge. These side lanes for CB Rush have gone so well. Beastlands struggling early on with that level 1, but then popping right back off, getting lots of kills, even diving between turrets with Nelson. He's played this game incredibly well so far, and now Nelson might be having to retreat out of the jungler. Sterling still controls this one for now, but you can see everyone headed towards this top side as the next big objective, my friend, is one that costs way more than a dragon, and Rutledge may be caught out trying to get some vision control. The engage comes in from Coach Pizza. That slingshot does not land on any critical members, so they will walk away.
A lot of tension on this top side of the map, but what's important is that it is still going to be that river control going over to CB Rush. As you said, it's going to be a lot more important than the upcoming dragon fight is this Baron that is spawning in just 5 seconds here. And when you have members of CB Rush that are so far ahead, we take a look at Beastlands, we take a look at Rutledge, both of these guys going on to their second and third items here, whereas the members of Death Cards Academy are still struggling with their first and second items. We see here, Rutledge goes in, he commits everything there and drops on Fugnuggler solo. The only reason he's able to stay alive there is through the multiple procs of his ultimate. If Rutledge had continued to fight there, I honestly think he takes that trade and he wins the fight if he had not backed away instead.
Rutledge, he's got to be wondering just as much as you and I, what is Fugnuggler's damage? He just throws R a few times and all of a sudden Rutledge just drops so low. Gwen, man, one of those champions that you can never be too sure about what the limits are going to look like, as those scissors, the later on you get, they really begin to hurt, and Rutledge definitely could be cut down to size if he wasn't too careful, but instead everyone will play this one safe, get those recalls in. You can see CB Rush, everyone channeling their bases now. Drake is up in a minute. Icarus, we haven't had too much time to slow down and talk about this game, but quickly, we're going to have to get an itemization check in as we head towards what could be a game-deciding fight. If anyone picks up this fight around Drake, and it's big enough win, they can head straight to that Baron pit.
The Baron pit is going to be a very big point of contention, but as you said, we do need to take a look at these itemizations. I want to point out, Fugnuggler has not completed his Zanyas and did not opt into picking up that early stopwatch, so he will not have a 2-second invulnerability in the middle of this upcoming fight. However, his top laner, Rutledge, has finally finished that second item. Same thing can be said for Galaxy Meep versus Beastlance. Once again, this Callista, 2 items working on that third. Meanwhile, Galaxy Meep still trying to finish off that second item. Did go for a quick serrated Dirk in order to get the upgraded Cathian Rain, but is now having to go towards the LDR, which is necessary versus this frontline members of CB Rush. But is it going to be enough in this upcoming fight? I don't think so. They need to find a pick. They need to find a fight, and they find the hook.
Flashbone skewer into pizza. There's the engage on. Fate's Call is going to keep Nelson safe, but the triple man knockup might just be in the doom for Cthulhu. Frosty is not going to get binded, but the rest of the fight still breaking out the back end. Stormbringer is going to find 2. Beastlance rips away the spears, and a final spark will take down Galaxy, and Sterling Archer in the middle of 2. He's trying his best, but that Callista, man, kites you around like a little bird. Coach Pizza will not be able to find it as Cthulhu takes down the passive. Does he have enough damage as Rutledge sprinting in to save a jungler? Flash! Bear slap, but this time it's from Rutledge on the volley bear. Will not find the kill as Cthulhu has to disengage away with that Shadow Undertow, but yet another team fight will go the way of CB Rush. They grab Drake and they're looking for the base.
Ooh, bit of a spicy turret dive going on here. I think Cthulhu should be fine unless he continues to sit around here. Beastlance take a lot of turret shots.
What is going on? Nelson may just go down. Beastlance able to destroy the turret in time before he dies. The flash stun not going to find it. Beastlance is now on the kiting mode. He's trying to disengage. Rutledge will take a little bit of extra damage on the back end. The Void Seeker, the Unbreakable, will keep everyone safe. But DCA are not giving up on this one. They want to chase down at all costs. Frosty coming in from the flank. He's in a pink ward. They don't know he's here. The binding, the one shot. Whoa! Frosty gets 2 immediately. He might just lose his life though in the process. Fugnuggler, meanwhile, in the back end of the fight, trying to 1v1 this. Zach, let's bounce, baby. Not available just quite yet. And finally, Fugnuggler finds some success on this Gwen. Pierces in the knock up from the Glacial Fissure, and Fugnuggler is once again killed. That is number 7, man. And maybe it's time for the Baron.
They can absolutely pick up the Baron here. Sterling Archer is going to be alive, so they might have to back away with this one if the Sejuani starts showing around this pit, because Coach Pizza will not be there for the Smite Sick here. And with the bringers that went into Callista's Ren damage versus neutral objectives, it is a lot harder to secure that neutral objective. They do see Sterling Archer going in here, so they're going to back away. I don't think they find a kill, but hold on.
Cthulhu has ulti. Cthulhu has ulti so soon. Can he get anything done, though? One member going to get that Sterex pop. The shield does not matter to executes. Frosty is certainly in execute range. Beastlands hopping forward once again. Excellently done with the martial pose to get away from this one. Cthulhu going in once again. The Prowess Claw's not enough, and he's just taken down by this Callista. Beastlance is so beautiful, and the champion just kiting himself away, but it might just not be enough. It is somehow. Finally, the Killer Instinct will come through from Galaxy, who got enough plasma procs on it. Fugnuggler's at 1 HP. Can he kill Frosty in time? No. Double kill once again to this Lux, and light be damned. Frosty is 7-1. Beastlands 11-4. Rutledge 7-4. Everyone in CB Rush has gold in their pockets, and they have blood in their eyes.
And what did I say? It's just a matter of time for Frosty here. He has so much in the front line. His top lane and AD carry are so strong that nobody has been keeping an eye out for Frosty here. And we're finally starting to see this Lux pop off. Those final sparks are coming in beautifully. And every time Death Cards Academy think they have an opportunity to look for a play here, suddenly Frosty comes in with the light binding, the final spark, and their backline is just getting deleted. There's not a whole lot there's honestly not a whole lot of room for analysis here, because every time we stop to try and break down this game, Death Cards Academy is looking for a fight, and CB Rush is just slapping their hands like a preschooler going for the cookie jar, saying, "You can't have that, it's ours." As we see, there's just nothing that Death Cards Academy have been able to find for themselves for the past 10 minutes. 2 dragons have been going over in favor of CB Rush, and now the Baron control is going back over to CB Rush to take it away the blue buff. They're looking for a fight again.
They want one more angle, one more fight, and this could be the game over moment. If you're not careful, Cthulhu so low already. The stun's going to land on 2, though. Here comes Shrugnuggler over the wall with a lot of damage. The invulnerability field's not going to matter if they're in it side with you. Coach Pizza is low, kiting himself away. Patrick Jones already dead, does not have the survivability on this champion. Double kill on over to Frosty. The man has popped off so far, and he's not stopping until you drop. Baron still alive. Sterling dead, no smite. And it would have to be a miracle play from DCA to get into this pit to stop the Baron attempt, and instead CB Rush will claim this one for free.
It is going to finally mean a Baron being picked up here for CB Rush. They get this objective after a hard-fought couple of minutes here. Great stopwatch coming in from Frosty, but it's going to be a collapse. Is this going to mean some kills? I think they have the exit path downwards.
Rutledge doesn't have flash, but he has the ulti. Galaki on the run. Here comes the flash. Coach Pizza wants this one at all costs. Not able to get it just quite yet. Bone Skewer into Undertow will keep him locked up. But Galaki, you're going the wrong way, my friend. That is not your base. That is the enemy side of Summoner's Rift. You do not own that territory. Cthulhu trying to do his best to stall out. And actually, Galaki going to be able to escape just barely. So they don't continue the chase, but it's time for the base. Icarus, they do not care about the kills. They want this Nexus, and they're going straight for it. Sterling Archer barely able to hop over the wall, will not be slowed for now, thanks to the endurance of that boar. Frosty, one more binding, one more slow. Void Seeker lands, but it does not matter. CB Rush have control over the rift, have control over the enemy base.
And this is such a suddenly one-sided stomp here. Great turnaround coming in from CB Rush. We were a little worried for a second there that Death Cards Academy were going to be able to pull out this win because of the excellent dragon fight that they had very early on into this game around that Ocean Drake. But now that we finally see an actual 5v5 coming out here from CB Rush, as we've seen for the past several minutes, they are indeed in a much stronger position. And it's just so unfortunate if you're Death Cards Academy, because now we're watching as they slowly lose their base. And it just feels like every time they go for a play, every time they're trying to make a pick, it is the gold pockets of CB Rush slapping them in the face time and time again. The sustain coming in from Beastlands cannot be dealt with. The tanky frontline members of CB Rush are just putting in so much work here.
Oh, Sterling taken down to a nice play, and here comes a final dive. Galaki, wave goodbye. You can only watch from the gray screen now as your base is ripped into shambles. And CB Rush, they wanted to win, and they will get exactly that. Hopping forward one more time is Beastlands looking for the final kill. They will not chase any further as the Nexus is the final target. Death Cards Academy, try all you want. Your Nexus will fall in game 1. There was good things to show, but CB Rush close out, taking themselves 1-0.
CB Rush is just going to quickly remind everyone at home why they are the #1 team here so far in Excellency Mid-League. They come out in a 29-minute game with 32 kills, 3 dragons, a 12,000 gold difference, and a Baron to boot it all at the very end of the day. They come up with a dominating game 1 here against Death Cards Academy, but I do want to give some props to our second tier team here, our second seed team here. They did get a fantastic dragon fight, and they picked up the first 2 drakes. A couple of their early macro plays were quite smart. They made a couple of great plays, and unfortunately they just fell a little too far behind in the early stages of this game, giving over a few too many kills to the top laner Rutledge. they weren't able to shut down the Kalista hard enough, didn't fall behind necessarily, but once that Kalista started popping off, it only takes 1 or 2 kills, and suddenly Beastlands just going 8 mode the rest of that game.
And along with Frosty and Rutledge, everyone came up big. Coach Pizza certainly doing his job on the Zac. Just that CC bot, the frontliner that they needed. Rutledge baiting in. Fugnuggler on the Gwen. He thought he had the counter pick in, but absolutely not. It was Rutledge dominating that lane time and time again. Frosty from out of vision, landing excellent bindings into one shot with a final spark. And Beastlance, man, chef's kiss to that Kalista, because that one was beautiful. But to break down this game and where we're headed for the rest of the evening, and while I grab a breather along with my friend here, Icarus, we're going to throw it to our analysts, Mac and Camcom, to break it down.
Welcome back, everyone, to the Excellency Analyst Desk, where we are going to break down that crazy game number 1. Cam, we talked about that Kalista during the draft, and boy, oh boy, did Beastlands give everyone something to remember him by here in Season 3, something a lot of the Season 2 vets were already familiar with. CB Rush more than happy to bring him along for the ride. But we were talking behind the scenes that Death Cards Academy composition that they put together for themselves, very Season 11, Gwen, Vigo, but possibly out of their comfort zone. What do you think? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cam, you may have been muted for that, but I promise everyone else that it was some quality analysis about that composition for Death Cards Academy. All the stuff a little out of their comfort zone for what we usually see from Fugnuggler. Cam mentioned the tanks in the top lane that we're more accustomed to seeing them from. And Sterling on last week we saw him on the Diana, the Xin Zhao. This time the Sejuani, it kind of fell short for me. It was pretty difficult, I feel like, for him to have a big impact on these team fights, especially going into those massive tanks that CB Rush had drafted for themselves. Rutledge on the Volley Bear could barely be touched, especially in the early game. Pizza was doing a pretty good job on the Zac overall. He was doing a pretty good job staying alive, at least, and that's really all they needed from him, because as we heard Icarus and Necrox, talk about quite a bit, Beastlands Kalista, Frosty's Lux, wow, carry performances from CB Rush where they really needed it in this game.
Absolutely. As you were saying, Frosty, am I unmuted now? I think I am. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, Frosty, he didn't have a very, I want to say flashy early game on that Lux, but he was consistently hitting those double binds on both the Viego and whoever was with him, whether it was the Sejuani, whether it was the Gwen. He was really hitting really nice binds in the early game. And then late game, you saw how much damage his final spark did. And then that later on, when he got that really nice double kill pickoff from the bush onto the bot lane members of Death Cards Academy, that was probably one of the biggest turning points. It was just a very sudden double kill for Frosty, which set him up to have a 700 gold shutdown that nobody was ever able to collect.
Well, Acid is in chat now. Pizza on the Rift forum. Acid, I wonder if we're going to see a little bit of the former MVP of mid-league on the Rift a little bit against the number 2 team. Icarus might have said it himself best, though. Death Cards Academy during that mid-game felt kind of like a second-tier team. No flame, though, just jokes on the analyst desk for you guys. I want to look a little bit at that second dragon fight. There's the Ocean Drake Cam. CB Rush, I think for the rest of the game, really kind of pulled this one out of a magic hat, because that fight did not go their way at all.
No, it really didn't. That was the last dragon that Death Cards was able to pick up for that game. That was, as you're saying, that was probably the biggest turning point. Is from that point forward, it didn't look like Death Cards had any footing in the game whatsoever. As whenever they tried to take a single fight, it just did not go in their favor at all. And they were just slowly burning and burning out more. And it was just, in the end, they just didn't have any gold on their carries anymore. And after that point, going forward, it's just, you can't kill the Zac, you can't kill the Volibear. Lux is one-shotting you from Fog of War. It's pretty unplayable for Death Cards.
Yeah, and to get some more insight behind the CB Rush mentality going into this season, going into this series, Cam, you yourself sat down with not only the stud in the top lane, Rutledge, but also Nelson, I believe, right?
Yes, we have a double interview with Rutledge and Nelson coming for you now. This was recorded before this game one, but I think it is still very, very fun to watch. Everyone, welcome. We are here with our top and support players from CB Rush today. We are here in week 6 of Mid-League. I am joined by, like I said, our top and support, Nelson and Rutledge. Nelson, would you like to introduce yourself a little bit, your role on the team, your name, your favorite champions?
Hello, my name is Nelson, I guess CBR Nelson at the moment. I play support for CBR Rush, or CB Rush, I guess. And I guess some of my favorite champions are Lux and Rutledge's favorite champion, Braum, by default. So yeah, I would say my role is also to carry, make sure that my lovely D4 supposed ADC today doesn't int himself while top lane just kind of does its own thing and carries. That's my job.
Alright, and Rutledge, how about you?
CBR Rutledge, in-game name. Captain, I guess, and top lane for CB Rush. I get to tolerate a bunch of what feels like children at times. I definitely feel like their babysitter when it comes to setting up scrims, letting them know we have games. Frosty falls asleep before games sometimes, so it's always a blast dealing with these guys. But yeah, it's pretty much, I'm basically the dad of the team in a lot of aspects.
Nice. All right. So Rutledge first. How long have you been playing League, and how long have you been playing, more specifically, on CB Rush?
So I started playing League, I believe it was season 3, and then I played for like 2 or 3 seasons, and then I stopped playing for like 2 or 3 seasons. I used to be into competitive Call of Duty, so I kind of went on and off with games of Call of Duty that I liked. Like I would go to LANs and stuff for it, so that's like why I stopped playing, more so than not liking League. It's just I was into something else at the time. But then I started playing more, like picking up the game more seriously again, like 3 years ago, I think. I can't remember what season that was, probably like season 8 or something. And that's basically how I've been playing actively since then. So this roster's actually gone through a few phases, a few names. Started as Active Rush, which is where the Rush comes from. That was my org that I still have a Discord for, but kind of inactive at the moment. That roster started probably 2 years ago. Nelson was pretty early on. He wasn't on the complete original roster, but Nelson was on the roster about a year ago or more. And then he parted ways not like 5 months ago or something, but then came back more recently because he knew this is the good place to be. And he couldn't stay away from me for too long. But yeah, so I've been on the team for about 2 years because I started it, but it's gone through many phases. It went from Active Rush to Meme City Esports Rush, and then now it's CB Rush. So we've gone through a few different orgs, but it started as Active Rush, so that's where like the Rush part comes from, and then we kind of like, whatever org we're a part of, we kind of add that on at the end as kind of like an homage to our original team name. But yeah, so about 2 years.
How do you feel going against Death Cards Academy this week, who is currently 2nd place?
I mean, I will be honest, Rutledge posts the op.gg's in our like scouting thing the day of, and I show up and I'm like, okay, does this support play X champion? No? Good. I don't need any bans. Pick me Braum. But so I'm feeling pretty good as usual. We will vibe out in the bot lane and pretty much win the game, I'm hoping. But yeah, I feel pretty good about it.
Definitely, I mean, in my power rankings that we did as players, that we came together and did, I had them as like our best competition, mostly because they took the series off Fever and No Fear Wolves, 2-1, which surprised me. I didn't expect Death Cards to perform that well. I expected maybe to be a middle pack team. But I mean, they've taken series off two teams that I do respect and I do think could take games off of us. So, I mean, I feel good. I feel like I'm still expecting a 3-0, but I almost go into every series expecting to just win.
What have you been doing together as a team each week to keep your current 13-game winning streak?
Basically, just getting rid of champions that we struggle against for some reason. Pretty much the only reason we lost one game is just because Tristana got 20 kills and we just couldn't kill her. But in a more serious tone, we've just been working on our drafts. I think when we have a good understanding of the meta and we get a good feeling for what is good for us as far as drafting in that meta, we become really hard to beat. But when we don't, and we kind of like are kind of still figuring it out, like maybe we don't know what's our strongest jungle pool right now, or what's strong in the top lane now because of all the changes, and like dealing with the updates to the patches, sometimes bigger, sometimes smaller, whatever. I feel like that's when we always drop series, is when we've come off a patch that we're still not sure, like a big power shift, like when Hecarim and Udyr got really kind of hit hard, and Acid had been like spamming Hecarim, so like Hecarim was like either you must pick it or you must ban it against us. And then like that patch in particular that changed jungle so much really made us like we dropped a series in another league because of that, in my opinion, because we just had no idea how we wanted to draft at all. Like we were like super confused on what was strong for us, and so like that's our biggest struggle. But when we have it figured out, we typically, I feel like, are pretty strong. So I don't really have big worries going into Death Cards, but I'm hoping they put up a good series.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're in a pretty, at least, I think as a team, yeah, we're in a pretty good spot, at least as to where we know where the meta's at and like what we play to win games. And even though Rutledge lets us have our fun every once in a while, we know what picks win us games and what kind of play style also wins. So,
are there any particular players on Death Cards you're particularly worried about?
I would have to say no. I don't go. There are few players who I think I've gotten respect for, and I would say looking at their roster, sadly, none of them have gotten my respect yet, so they gotta work a little harder.
Oh no. Rutledge, have you fed anyone yet?
So I played against Fug in the All Stars event that XNLC did, the like preseason of this league starting. I played Lee Sin as Yone, and I think he had 13 deaths in that game.
Oh no.
I think I had like 17 or 20 kills or something. But then he got a good matchup because we did like a blind pick game in the last game, and he got like a really, like, I couldn't play the matchup, so he did pretty well in that game. I think he's definitely a solid top laner, but I think I definitely have the advantage in it, but we'll see how he performs. I think we have the edge in jungle. I think we have the edge in mid. I think Frosty should be able to beat their mid as well. I think their best players are probably in their bot lane from what I've watched the stream games. I think their ADC Galakmeep, I believe is his name.
Yeah.
He's actually impressed me, especially on certain picks. I think he's capable of definitely, if he gets some kills in the bot, like whether they focus bot side or what, and gets a couple, like if he picks up a handful of kills, he could definitely carry the game. And then Uwu had a pretty good Pike game, which I was impressed by. But I still think we just match up better. Like I still have lots of faith in DeBay and Nelson to do their job, and if not, maybe get fed. Though I expect them at least to not to die a lot and not to give away a big advantage in the bot side. So I still just think we match up really, really well, like in every single lane. But I definitely think they have the players that, if given the right edge, whether it be just like by having a really good game plan or having a really good draft planned, they could give us a shot. But no, I'm not really worried about any individual player. If I had to pick one, maybe their bot side.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you only have 2 more games in the future against Fever and No Fear Wolves, which we're going to be watching your games next week against Fever. Are you worried about either of those teams potentially taking you off the playoffs first seed?
That'll be a question for you, Rutledge.
Yeah, probably not. I think Fever probably has the best hope of trying to take the series against us. But I'm not 100% sure on that. No Fear Wolves, I feel like is surprising me by not performing as well as I expected. I expected them to be a clear number 2, and they just not look like it, and I think it's unjustifiable to put them up there right now. I think they have the players to get there at some point if they figure out what they got to improve on, but they're just not in that state right now. So maybe Fever has a chance, and I think it's another streamed game, so hopefully that'll be a really good show match as well. But I still would expect to take that series at least 2-1. At the very, like, again, I'm gonna go in with confidence and expect 3-0, but I would still very confidently say a 2-1 in that series.
The way we kind of approach our games is that we come in 100% expecting to 3-0 or 2-0, whatever have you, and really anything less is not acceptable to Dad Rutledge over here. So he'll have our heads if Frosty ints or doesn't get to play Lysandra. So I'm feeling pretty good about it. I just looked at the rosters for those for No Fear Wolves and Fever, and yeah, I'd say they gotta work on themselves before I'm afraid of them.
Oh no, alright. So Nelson, you did say you had a few particular people that you were afraid of. Who do you think they are so far?
They're not in this league, I can tell you that much. The only thing... I'm joking. The only thing that I'm concerned about, I'll say, is Bucky Stratosphere. I don't know if they're actually doing good, but I'm upset that we lost that one game. I am quite upset. I don't know if you watched Heavy League at all, but they did not do very good from...
Do very well. Come on, Nelson.
Oh,
They tried their hardest, okay? They almost took a game off us. I want to tell the story, but basically, it was a base race to the end, and then our top laner, not Rutledge, he couldn't have done this. His Jace isn't as good. Our Jace just ran it down, I believe, mid lane, while there were 5 of them trying to just destroy our Nexus. But then I rel ulti, and I believe we have an Orianna, and he ultis to cancel autos, and our Jace gets the last final auto in for us to win the game, so that Bucky Stratosphere gets a total of, I believe, 0? I think 0 wins in Heavy League? So I am upset about this one win right over here. So we're going to change that. If they get in the playoffs, they're not getting out.
Do you have any final last words or shoutouts that you want to get in for everyone to hear before your next games this week?
I should probably shout out our org owner, Accelerate, I believe is what his in-game name is. But been a great owner and has helped us out any way we need. Always willing to do whatever pretty much we've asked him to do. So shout out to our org, CB, just being clutch. Been a great experience with them so far, and don't really have anybody else. Shout out to our OP mid laner, Frosty. He wanted a shout out. We'll give probably the best mid, if not second best mid in the league, I'd say. I do actually confidently think that, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Well, since we're giving shout-outs to our own players, I'm going to have to shout out my ADC, of course. Even though he's not going to be able to be there this week,
Aww.
He'll be in my heart. I know. My joke is that Rutledge is the dad, but DeBay is the daddy.
Okay.
But basically, I'm sure we'll continue to play really well, and I've been enjoying it so far, so I can't wait to play some more XLNC. It's quite a good league, at least in the past, that I've played, and this season's going pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. So thank you for sitting down and having this quick little interview with me. I hope you guys have a good luck in your Week 6 and Week 7 games, as we will be seeing you next week as well. So good luck, and I'll catch you later.